What's up guys, this is Todd. Today we're going to be taking a look at one PvP game that I played earlier in the Acer Team Story Cup qualifier when XMG played versus My Insanity. Stardust beat Soccer in the first game and then I had to go and face Stardust. And it took place on Polar Night and we're going to be focusing on my vision and what I see and how I react to it. Okay, let me make sure the sound in game is not too loud. So yeah, we're gonna go a lot through my thought process during the game. So going into this match, I knew that Stardust in official games is less likely to go for something like a proxy outside of my base, like he will do very often in ladder. So I just checked the in-base at first, and I'm gonna open with double gas with a quicker gateway than him. That was the gateway 11 here, which is a build Zest has been using quite successfully these days in GSL. So you'll see exactly just how quick my tech is compared to him. You see my core is 15 seconds in when his starts. So that's gonna be a nice lead to have, and I had the double gas very early as well, with 3+3 a little bit earlier than him maybe. So I'm gonna have a little bit more gas to work with. The goal is obviously to go Phoenixes with a quick Stargate with this. And if my opponent goes for Phoenixes as well, usually his build will not be as gas heavy as mine. He will have more money, but in Phoenix versus Phoenix I guess it doesn't really matter. So after that second gas I went for a scout, and then you see I throw down the very quick Stargate before Warp Gate or Mothership Core as scout, and I see that he opened fairly standard but with a second gateway. And now he's gonna scout me, and something weird happened here. He saw the core, the gateway placement and the two pylons, but he didn't check the back of my base. I think he realized that I had started my tech earlier than his, or I took my gases earlier maybe, and he kind of panicked. He thought maybe the Mothership Core was about to come out, and I think he put it in his head that maybe I had proxied something. So he's gonna scout the entire map for it, whereas in reality the Stargate is in the back of my base, so he barely missed it. So this is not the greatest start by him, but he's still gonna be in an okay position, just because I think if he had opened Phoenixes I would have been in a great position, but he didn't open Phoenixes. He went for the double gate, a few units, and I think then he goes into a Twilight, so it's gonna be just okay. So first Phoenix is out. Usually I would always go and scout with my first Phoenix if I hadn't seen anything, but now I saw two gateways and I'm sure he's gonna make a minimum of units, so I took my time before moving out. And now I had to think, because I saw this Stalker there, like moving across the map. If your opponent moves across the map like this early in PvP, a lot of the time it's going to be for aggression. So I was thinking maybe he wants to be aggressive, so you see I started going across the map, then I see he's in front of my base, so I have to come back, because I don't have much back at home. Now I finally have the photon overcharge, but if this is 3 gates heavy pressure, I'm going to need my Phoenixes there as well. So now you see, I'm going to pick up 2 of his Stalkers, and I use the photon overcharge to try and take them out. And I end up doing some decent damage to them, but he's gonna be able to escape with one of his Stalkers. I pick up another one. So in terms of units killed here, I haven't lost anything and I killed quite a few. I put a probe here behind his mineral line, making sure it doesn't start an expansion. I have a pylon on the right hand side on the map, which is always great to have. Behind this I played it safe, especially since I saw units in the middle of the map. I threw down extra gateways. I go for the Robo, and now I'm trying to make sure he doesn't go for DTs, but there could be a Dark Shrine hidden around the map anywhere. So you always have to go Robo no matter what. So that's what I'm gonna do, and now I see he's going for the 3 gateways Blink Stalkers, so I want to make sure I have enough so that I don't die, so I'm gonna go for a Void Ray while all of this is happening. I'm getting my Robo and all that, and I'm gonna stay on 4 Phoenixes. I don't need any more, especially against Blink Stalkers. It would be a waste to go for 5 or 6. And I'm doing a little bit of flying around here, making sure I know where he's at and all that, but I'm not gonna commit and go inside of his base because I know he has Blink now. So I see the Nexus as it starts, and my first reflex is that I want to grab my own Nexus. I don't think I can attack against Blink Stalkers in this situation. The thing is, if you look at my army, it's very small. 1 Void Ray, 2 Stalkers, 2 Zealots, 1 Mothership Core without Photon Overcharge right now, and 4 Phoenixes. If he was to attack with say like 12 Stalkers, right now you can see he's on 8. Just 2 rounds of Warpins and he will be quite far above that. It will be very hard for him to hold, so I delayed my Nexus a little bit here. I had started my first Immortal, I'm gonna start a second one, and then I go for the Nexus, playing it safe. I'm trying to poke here a little bit without committing my units. Again, I just want to see if he starts a robo, if he gets a Dark Shrine or anything like that. And yeah, with my second Immortal on the way, I should be able to grab that second Nexus that I'm going to need later on. Worker count, I'm a little bit behind. So he's handled the early game very, very well, even though I had open Phoenixes and I have like air control, obviously. I have a lot of vision as well on the map. This does not really give me any advantage against somebody who defends well against my Phoenixes with his blink and takes an expansion and gets ahead on the economy side of things. So as much as I'm not happy, I'm not super unhappy either. So now I see there was no units there. I'm gonna grab a few probes here and there. I could actually maybe have suicided like 1 or 2 Phoenixes to grab a few more probes, because at this point I would have been ahead on the walker count, and at home if he attacks I'm gonna be fine. But I think if he keeps on building his stalker count to a very high amount and then attacks, it's gonna be very hard for me to defend between here, and like if he blinks up there. So I was very wary of that, and I didn't take too fast. You see I'm getting the Forge, I'm still making a lot of Immortals. I'm gonna take the Watchtower control to see if he moves across the map. And now I see he's getting his own Forge at about the same time as me, just a little bit later. So I know around where I'm at. One thing, very important thing to keep an eye at this point to know if you're getting all-ins or if there's the possibility for an all-in, is the gases and the expansion of your opponent. If he's not taking the gases, a timing is going to come a lot of the time, almost every single time. So now I saw that he was taking one, so I thought there is a lower chance he will go for something like a timing, but I still delayed mine quite a bit, because I thought I was playing a little bit scared, I have to say, at this point. I was really afraid of a timing. Stardust is known for his very, very strong 2-base timings, and underestimating it at this point is not what you want to happen. So behind this, I get my own Twilight Council. Obviously I'm going to go into Charge Lot Archon with Immortals in support. I see he has his own Templar Archive earlier than mine, but I don't really care. There is no timing that he's gonna hit where he's gonna have like 2 Archons and where I'm gonna have 0, I think, if I start mine not too long. So I'm getting charge, chrono boosting my +1, and I'm gonna, when I look to take the backdoor 3rd base here. You see this pylon is pretty cool here. I can warp outside my base as well, send on the left hand side some units. And I'm really the one putting a lot of effort into being present on the map and having a lot of vision, whereas you see he just sees his 2 bases. He's cutting probes quite heavily at 49. He's actually still ahead on walkers, but now he's gonna throw down a lot of extra gateways. Again, even when using your robo in PvP, you need to go up to 8 gateways in case you get attacked, and you have to get units very quickly. Zealots and Archons are pretty cheap overall compared to like if you were gonna go for 8 gates stalkers. So it's good to have this amount of gateways. So now I'm still doing a bit of flying around, and I see him move out finally. And at this point, I'm not sure if this is to take the Watchtower with these 4 stalkers, or if this is to go to hide an attack behind it. And I cannot really know. So it's going to be for my Phoenixes to find out. But you see, I'm ready to receive back at home. I have my units in position, and photon overcharge ready and all that. So yeah, I see he takes the other Watchtower, and I guess having blink, that makes sense. For me, I skipped the blink, I went straight to charge, so I had the Phoenixes instead of having the blink, so that means he's the one who's going to be able to take the Watchtower. So now what I want to know is he taking a 3rd base or not? If he takes a 3rd base, I'm probably going to take my own 3rd base, or I have the choice to attack, but I think here a lot of the time it's going to mean it's better to take my own 3rd base rather than attack. So doing a bit more scouting, I saw that he didn't have this one, and I'm going to send a Zealot on this side, thanks to this pylon over here again. And I see he's leaving his base. This is very lucky. When you spot a War Prism, I feel like this is so much information. So I see that he has a War Prism, and I know there's a possibility he could drop my main and try to do an attack in my natural at the same time. So I'm taking a 3rd base, and I immediately cancel. I realize this is going to be a 2 base. The Zealot here is going to confirm that in a second. There's no point in getting a 3rd Nexus at that point. I know he's going to hit a very, very strong timing. So you see I'm getting a 2nd cannon. I'm walling it off here a little bit. That means if he drops over here, the cannon is going to shoot from inside this wall. And I see his army over here, yeah. If I warp in Zealots here, those cannons are going to be very well covered. If he brings the War Prism on top of these cannons to drop on top of them, I'm going to be able to snipe the War Prism by manually targeting. So this is just a good situation for me to be ready and defend. 50 probes to 50, so as much as he has a little bit more army supply, a little bit, yeah, I would say quite a sustainable amount actually. Almost 30 army supply ahead now. I'm gonna have to photon overcharge. I just have to throw down a time warp here, and I need to take a good concave. So you see, I'm gonna start preparing my Archons and Zealots in front of my army, and I have those 4 very important Phoenixes as well, remember them. As much as he has more army, he has quite a few Stalkers that are not gonna do much in that fight, so... the thing that I have going for me here is my Immortal count. I'm on 9, he's on 5, so he invested a lot more heavily into Zealots and Archons and Stalkers, which are gateway units compared to your Robo units. It's uncomparable. Robo units are far, far, far stronger. So I already have my +2. He just got his +2 as well. And now, as much as this army is bigger than mine by 20, you see a lot of his units are blocking each other, and also that Nexus is going to take a lot of damage. I walled off another cannon over here. It's just going to be about the position. If my Immortals can deal enough damage out to this front line, then I think I should be able to hold. So that's what I was focused on doing. And now you see the position was kind of bad for him. He had to go back a little bit right away, try to reposition with Zealots and Archons in the front, and now he got it. The thing is, a lot of his army behind is stuck and not really shooting. If he moves too far inside of my army, then it's not really going to help either. I pick up a bunch of those Immortals. He has to blink the Stalkers back to pick up those Phoenixes, which is the right move again. But now you see again, Zealots blocking each other in this attack. And my Immortal count really doing the job. So now I start chasing, and then I think he was going to turn around and he was going to maybe have enough, so I pulled back. But looking at the game, I'm not sure if this was the right move. If you look at this army, this is about as scary as this one. You see, unit count is almost the same, especially if I remove those probes. So having more Immortals is nice, but if you overextend and run into Zealots, you're going to be in trouble. So behind this, he had started his +3, at least. So he had a backup plan. And he's going to want to go into the third base, which I spot immediately. And at this point, I had defended pretty well. I don't think I lost any probe. Yeah, I didn't lose any probe this game. So 50 probes to 50 probes still. The joy of PvP. And yeah, I'm just going to start working on my third base. Do a bit of scouting if I can. The thing is, I only have 1 sentry left, so that's not many hallucinations. And try and take the watchtower control as much as possible. I know that he has his own third base. Taking the gases on my own third base is going to be very, very important to do very quickly, because I'm going to want gas to make more Archons, which are so good in those fights. Now we are fighting a little bit for the watchtower control. And behind this, now it's time to start thinking about if I want to go Colossus or not. He goes for a drop in the main. This is what I was talking about. I target the prism with my cannon. He has to evacuate. So the cannons here did their job, clearly. And now I guess I'm kind of broke, to be honest. Like, even if though I have 53 probes, I just took that third base, which was very, very late, 20 minutes in the game. So I didn't have all that much money to put a lot of buildings here to wall this off, so I put my Robo Bay in it, which, looking back at it, might have been a mistake. If he had gone and sniped that, I could have been in trouble, and you'll see later why. Finally, he takes out this pylon, which has been a very important pylon, I would say, during this game. It did a lot. Really, really helped me warp units outside, get information. So that poor guy here, actually gonna maybe escape. And now I'm guessing he knows about that base on the right hand side. He's moving forward. Against Stardust moving out, usually he means business. And I don't have too much information, but I'm guessing by the size of his army that he might be taking to Colossus himself. But I'm not too worried, because I have a very, very strong army. I have +3. I'm getting shields behind this. I don't like getting armor too much. And I wall this off completely to make sure nothing can get in. But actually, I think there's a hole here, which I'm going to realize later. So now I send Hallucinated Phoenix in his base, and I'm going to be able to see the Dark Shrine. The Forge still upgrading. And I see the Colossus take on double Robo. So I feel like I'm on a bit of a clock here. If I wait too long, and yeah, you see, this was for a scout here, because I knew he was probably around here. So again, he's doing the Warp Prism in the main, attack somewhere else. And it's going to be for me to handle that as well as possible. First Colossus comes out. It almost gets taken out instantly. And now I'm going to be maxed out in a second now. I'm going to change color so it's easier to understand here. He's the one who has more of a bank than me, because I guess he just killed some walkers, and I'm not actually sure, to be honest. I guess he's not maxed out yet, so that's also extra money that he has. He's just sacrificed a bunch of useless Zealots. and my army was more costly. But yeah, at this point, I think it's a good time to attack, to then replace units, because I have a lot of gas incoming. I'm on 6 gases, and I wanted to do an attack on the left hand side with a lot of zealots, and attack maybe is natural with my main army, but now I see that he's the one sending in some units. So I'm gonna go back and defend. And that DT was pretty annoying over here. I'm gonna go back and make sure I can defend against this, and then I'm gonna gear up for my attack. And yeah, I really wanted to send the zealots on the left hand side, but no, they're gonna be spotted as well, and they get caught by his main army. And I see that his army is out of position here. So, sorry, I'm gonna run towards. Sorry, I'm gonna run towards his natural. And the thing is, once I've reached this point here, he cannot recall anymore because I'm too close to the nexus, and if he recalls, the units will be stuck and not able to shoot for a long time, and my army will shoot them down very, very quickly. And also, it will be a very bad position. Like, they will be spread out all around this nexus for a long time. So he's in a situation now where he has to walk back or counterattack over here. And if he walks back, I'm gonna obviously have time to snipe this and then recall. So at this point, I know that his army was there a second ago. I know it's gonna take some time for it to rejoin this. My only worry here is to not get my Mothership Core feedback, which when you have Colossus and this much army, you just need to live in the middle of your army and make sure to look around very, very clearly to make sure I don't get surprised by some Templar coming in and feedbacking. Now you see it was a little bit too much forward, I pulled it back. And I'm gonna recall and leave some zealots there to finish the job. And I recall in my main because I saw that he was attacking. If I had recalled here, I think I lose the game instantly. So I recall in my main. And I'm gonna chase him immediately. And he just wants to snipe that base and then get out. I could have actually cancelled this and I didn't. That was a mistake. And now he's basically in a position where he has this one base over here, I have this one base over here. Worker count 30 to 30, so it's funny how we've had the same worker count to work with the entire game. The main thing that happens at his natural is that I sniped his robo bay and I sniped his second robo, so I know that he's now on a single robo in his main, and funnily enough he's remaking double robo at his third base. I don't think he realized. And having lost his robo bay, that's something else he's gonna have to remake. And if you see, he's really gas starved right now because I took out that base, the nexus, and that one gas here, and a lot of the probes that were there. So he's not even mining from this one. The ones in his main are mined out, as mine are. The thing is, I'm gonna keep on. I'm gonna mine faster on my natural gases than he is on his, and I'm still mining on these. So the gas income, as equal as it is now, I'm gonna be doing better before he will be. And you see, instead of retaking this base immediately, he starts this one. So he's being a little bit indecisive. I guess he had a lot of money and he realized that zealots are not that important in those fights, so he took both bases, which in itself is quite a ballsy move. Because I have a very, very strong army. If we look at the army composition at this point, mine is much stronger. We are even on Colossus count, but I have more Immortals and more Archons. He has 21 Zealots, I have 6. You don't really care about Zealots. Like, these Archons, they are gonna hug them to death in the next fight. So I'm myself on double robo, and I'm gonna wanna add at least a few Colossi to my composition. So now I catch him in the middle of the map, and I wanna go back to what I saw and what made me engage, because I really thought this was an ideal position. Like, I know my army is very strong right now. When you have this many Archons, Immortals, and Colossi, the only thing you might be afraid of is having a few Tempest and more Archons and more Colossi than, well, if your opponent had more than you. So now I was chasing his army, and now I see that he's like here in the middle. And I'm gonna wanna engage into that. Even though his army is spread out, I was kinda hoping I would catch it while it was moving, but that was not the case. And now once the engagement began and he had the first shot on my army, as much as this was good by him, I cannot really escape anymore. I could try and pull back, but I would use a bunch of Archons. I would have to use a time warp, and I don't have all that much energy. I don't have many time warps to use. So what I'm gonna wanna do is spread out my army a little bit, and maybe move some of these units a little bit down over there. Yeah, that's what I do immediately. Don't forget to use Guardian Shield, the prismatic alignments immediately, and yeah, just take an as good concave as possible. The time warp was here, is in his units. You have to try and anticipate with the time warp. So here, he didn't want me to move from this place. I didn't want this Colossi to escape. And he actually had quite a few immortals himself, but my immortal count was far superior. And that's really what made the difference at this point. See those immortals, they do a ton of damage here. He pulls back because he sees he's losing the fight, which was the good move. Again, I try to snipe as much as possible, but here I feel like maybe I overextended a little bit. Then I see that I'm winning in the fight again, so I end up chasing a little bit more. And I was really thinking about pressing forward here, but this is the way you throw games. If you go into cannons, if the opponent is reinforcing in the middle of the fight. You see, I had an observer, but he still went for DTs, which is weird. Now he saw that I had the observer, so that was unfortunate. But good move by him. And at this point, as much as I wanted to kill this base, I wanted to do it in a safe way. I didn't want to engage into a bad fight where I would lose, because I wasn't sure how many units he was making behind this. I saw this Nexus, but I didn't know if he was mining for me. So now I saw that he had no probes. I pulled back immediately. I'm gonna regroup. I'm gonna spend all my bank, all my gas, all my minerals. And yeah, walker counts falling a little bit more behind again. DTs here doing some damage. Gonna take the watchtower, and basically I was trying to take his army by surprise if it was there, going around here and catching it. And I go into that Nexus and I see, well, he's not even mining from it. And he's basically counter-attacking me in the meantime, so this is a tricky situation. I have to go again for the counter-attack. I could have recalled, but again, you never want to recall into the army of your opponent. I could have recalled here, but then he maybe recalls himself. I hadn't seen the mothership core, so I wasn't sure where it was. And looking at the production time now, I see that he didn't have a mothership core, so that was a pretty horrible mistake by him. But yeah, you cannot know everything during the game, and I guess just looking at his army here, I couldn't know if maybe it was a little bit behind. So now I was gonna go and chase that, but I thought maybe he had this open and he could go from behind. So now he's headed for my main base. I'm gonna recall and at least save that. I'm pretty sure I have more probes than you, but somehow I have less, so I guess he did a good job of saving a lot of his. Where are they actually? Oh yeah, there they are. They were there, so gonna go. So yeah, that was like during those attacks, there is a lot of moments where instead of looking, like you're not always looking over here like I was in the replay. You go, you look back, you look here, you look back. So now I wasn't sure if I had killed a lot of his probes or not. So as much as I'm still satisfied with the army in economy, I guess I cannot ever really be sure of where I'm at unless I've seen and I know for a fact that I've killed a lot of his probes. But if I haven't seen, they could either be dead or they could be alive, and now I didn't see it, so gonna go out on the map. And again, I'm still pretty confident in my army. Like that one Void Ray is really helping. It will a lot of the time force Stalkers out of him, which is, this army crushes Stalkers. Everything about it crushes Stalkers. If he just gets Zealots and Archons against that Void Ray, they are not gonna attack that Void Ray. They're gonna get crushed by the Zealots, Colossi, and Archons of mine. So now I'm in a situation where I don't have much vision. Sending a unit across the map would mean losing a unit, but I still, information is that important that I still need to send a Zealot. So now I see that he's moved in the middle of the map, and again he has a bunch of Stalkers, which as always I'm going to be happy about. I spot that he's long distance mining from here. That makes me very confident. I know I sniped this base, I know he doesn't have this one. He didn't even break the ice here, so I'm just gonna wait until I can remake a Nexus over here. And being confident in my army is what allows me to go for an extra Nexus, even though I just had to remake this one. Because I know that I'm not gonna lose the fight. So at this point, just gonna wanna mine from this gas here. And this too if I can, when I retake it. But no, he's gonna go for a cancel, which he gets. Gets my observer as well. Remember, he has DTs, so now his DT over here is gonna be pretty annoying. That was sloppy by me. Gonna remake an observer. I was supply blocked for a second, and now I see that he really wants to go forward and put more pressure. This is where mistakes are made and games are thrown, so I really wanted to not make a mistake that was gonna make me lose the game. So I'm gonna be very, very careful. I use the photon overcharge. I don't engage too fast. I don't chase. Now he sends a bunch of Stalkers in my main, but I know this is a bait because he can blink out and send units in with this Colossi over here. So now again he sniped another observer. That means his DT is going to be free to do some damage over here, but I have the cannon, which he knows, so he's going to stay out of the range. So that was very good play by him to try and come back in this game. And in the meantime, you see he's getting a lot of money. Like, I thought he didn't have those bases. I should have definitely checked that one over here. And I didn't. So he's going to go into my main with his army. when this happens and you know you have better army than your opponent, you know that your opponent knows it and he's gonna want to recall. So first reflex is get Templar and try and get a feedback. So he goes in there. See the location, I choose a perfect location, I anticipate this army movement and I know his Mothership Corps is going to be a little bit far behind. He was about to recall here. He was about to move in there and just recall. And now I get the feedback and he's basically stuck in the middle of my buildings. This is the worst situation for him. My Void Ray is going to make love to his units, going to warp in Zealots. I'm not even going to lose much killing all of this. And now this is game. The only way you can lose this now is if you go full ToD and somehow get all your observers sniped and then the DTs come in and kill my cannons. So that's why I'm gonna wall off here. I've thrown enough games in my career. I wall off another cannon. Here his DTs are gonna be pretty annoying, but again I go for another robo too. And yeah, I found this base. He knew that he didn't have enough. He knew that it was too late. At this point there was nothing left he could make work, and I'm gonna take the win. So that's it for this replay analysis. This was my thought process going into a match against Stardust. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave some comments and see you next time.